So here we are on the 27th of September, and we've just started harvesting beans for wheat planting. I thought it was a good idea to go through the corns so you knew what they look like at this stage in the game. We're at pools right now looking at our rotated ground corns as far as how they're making out. What's really interesting with the corns that are here is that similar heat unit corns on some corn on corn situations where they might have been short on nitrogen early, that corn has black layered. Whereas we look here, like we've got some 97-day corn that is still chugging and really trying to build as much test weight as it possibly can because it has such available nitrogen to it. So anyways, we're going to start out at the lower heat range and make our way longer just so you get an idea of what the corn looks like now at the end part of September and what's happening as far as grain production goes. So we'll start out with the 9623. This corn is the only black layered corn that we're looking at in the plot. As you can see how the cobs look, they did very, very well this year as far as looking at a 2850 heat unit corn for what it did. I maximized my pollen. 34,000 was about where I wanted to be for us in 30-inch rows. This corn is looking very nice. Some of it has already been combined for some early market stuff, which is absolutely amazing that guys are combining corn already on the 27th of September. So a wonderful corn. Like I said, we've seen this corn for a lot of years. Grows like a bear in the spring. Puts its cob out and gets ready to rock and roll. Stock quality issues later on in the season are a concern as it shuts down and dies down in a hurry. If you're looking to spray corn and want some early market corn, this might be one to consider. It will respond very, very well to being sprayed with a fungicide to help out with that late planting health later on in the season. But a wonderful early corn that, me personally, that's probably the earliest corn I want to see you grow. Moving forward into a new corn for us, which I'm very excited about, is the P9754. It's a 97-day corn that it looks like it's going to be a real nice corn. It's refuge in a bag, as is the 9623 for the upcoming selling season. But look at the amount of energy that is still left here. It's trying to utilize every little bit that we've got left here. You can see a little bit of the stuff shutting down further on in there. A little bit of leaf disease is happening. But it is trying to build corn like crazy. A very nice cob, as you can see. I always like to see a little bit of pullback up at the top. So whether I found the right population for this corn yet or not, I'm not sure. The leaves are very, very upright. Might be an ultra high population jobby going down the road. But it does cob very high. It's if you're a short guy and you like cobs to be at your chest, this corn puts out a cob a little bit higher. So as far as going through, I'm looking for it. It hasn't black layered yet, like I said. There is little spots in here that have, but the majority of it is chugging along and building test weight and yield still here on the 27th of September. So moving forward, we're going to move into a corn that's been very popular in our area for the last bunch of years. Suffered a little bit of a setback last year with some cob drop, but that's our 9855. The death of this hybrid is going to be the fact that it has a yield drag when you try to put the other BT event in to make it dual mode of action. So this corn too, looking at far as what plant health looks like, it's shutting down a little bit earlier than some of the other ones, but it hasn't black layered yet. So it's still trying to build as much as it possibly can. Looking at how the cob looks here, it's got that indicative twist that it always has, but there's still some more room as far as what it's going to try to build for yield and stuff. So it did suffer a little bit in this plot as far as some wind damage there, just as we were taking off wheat. But majority of the fields I've walked don't seem to have that issue. So moving into 9807, which is a corn that we've had around for a while. We used to place it on some real tough dirts, clays and heavy sands. It's like growing a 30-50 corn for when it flowers, but then when it's all said and done, it shuts down, and it's like a 29-50 heat unit corn when everything's all said and done. So it's a integrated refuge, like I said. As far as what it's trying to do, it is still building test weight, just like a lot of the other corns in here. Plant health and that. Pretty impressive cobs that it has put out this year. A little bit of insect damage there, but nothing too severe. But it's going to yield like a bugger. But looking down in there, when I say to you it's like growing a 30-50 that finishes fast at the end, this will give you the idea of it. We were just in 9855 is a true 2900, and this is a 2950 at finish. So once it black layers, you look for it to shut down and be done in a hurry. So as I said before, it hasn't black layered yet. It's still trying to build as much test weight as it possibly can. And then once it does that, look out, she's going to dry down in a hurry. This year I'm wondering if that is going to hang up on moisture a little bit, be a little bit wetter than it usually is comparative to other ones, but I think the yield and the test weight that it's building right now is going to more than make up for the fact that it might be a little bit on the damp side. We're going to move forward into a 100-day corn. This is a lot of excitement around the countryside about P0094. You remember when we had our plot day, I said there was tremendous interest in this corn as far as competitors go. There's been a lot of guys that have been in here looking at stuff and peeling back cobs, wanting to see what this stuff is. So remember when we talked about it in our plot day that it has longer husks as far as when it's finished up and ready to go. So that's a concern for me as someone trying to sell you seed. But as far as what's happening here for that danger watch out, it seemed to have opened up pretty reasonable. The husks have relaxed and have let things happen this year. So whether we're going to run into issues or not, I'm kind of doubting it. But it's a watch out for it as far as that goes. But man, this corn is going to yield like crazy. And in comparison to the 9807 beside it, this is a true 100-day corn that flowers extremely early. It flowers like M58 did, like very, very ultra early for a 30-50. So it's got an extremely long grain fill period, and it is trying to build as much test weight as it possibly can, and is doing a fantastic job doing it. So that is a corn integrated refuge as well. I don't know if I mentioned the 9807 is integrated refuge too. But an interesting corn moving forward. It's the first year that I've grown it. I've seen it in plots for years before, but look out for that one. Moving into the big daddies now, we're into super high full season stuff as far as what we want to grow in our area. The PO216. This is a 102-day corn, but remember it flowers like a 107-day corn. So it's one you want to plant first and harvest last. Looking down into the canopy, there is still a lot of sunlight not getting to the ground. And the people that grow full season corn understand that this is what makes them the yield, is the fact that it builds test weight right until the end. We've always got to be warned about frost by growing this sucker, but looking at the cob, you can see that it is a girthy cob. A lot of these cobs in this plot are 18 around. Being that this is ultra high population, it's not as long a cob as we've seen, but at 34,000, when you're talking a cob that's almost 40 kernels long, that's pretty impressive. A note on the side, this is the corn that Lane, my daughter, put into the Thorndale Fair and won the longest cob competition with. So it's a pretty interesting hybrid. The next full season one is PO474. Got some interesting news about this hybrid the other day. It will be offered at Integrated Refuge next year. I was under the understanding that we wouldn't see it in Integrated Refuge, but obviously I was mistaken. So the difference between the two of 216 and 474, you can see that this canopy and the health is is not, it's progressing more than the 216 is. It's shutting down a little bit earlier. So as far as what it looks like, it's not as nice as a looking cob as what 216 is, but it can crank out a lot of corn as well. I know we're on Poole's farm, and I know they like to grow this corn and have wonderful success with it. It's a true 104. It flowers right at 104-day corn, whereas the 216 flowers like 107. So there's a little bit different risk that's involved there. It does dry down a little bit slower as far as the 216 goes, but one to look at down the road if you're looking at wanting to grow a full season hybrid. Still building his test weight, trying to make as much yield as it possibly can. As far as the full season suckers, 35F50 is the last one in our plot. Remember, 35F50 is from the F40 family. This is a family that we've seen for quite a few years, and it is a very great steady eddy, great utilizer of water. Ron and I like to put this on more challenging dirts as far as sands and gravel bottom farms. But looking back in there, you can see it has suffered a little bit of leaf blight going on, a little bit of rust happening in its leaves. But as far as looking at what the corn has done, and it's opening up nicely as far as being finished, and you know, cob has still got a ways to go as far as finishing up. This is an earlier flowering hybrid for what it does. It's a 3150 heat unit corn, but it flowers early for that maturity, but it still hasn't black layered yet. And looking down our canopy, it's still got a lot of energy left to go, and it's still trying to build as much test weight as it possibly can. So to give you an idea of what the corn looks like here on the 27th of September, as far as rotated stuff goes. And yeah, there's some pretty exciting corns out there, and walking in fields, I think guys are going to be pretty excited to get into some stuff and see how they made out this year, because there is some pretty impressive corn out there.